breaking down the teams you're passionate about. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I'm just trying to get under your skin, Lloyd.
Why, though? Why do you want to?
I don't know, because
we're getting along so well. Why do you want to do that?
Because it doesn't feel right. Like, if we're not barking at each other a little bit.
We're supposed to get along a little bit.
There always needs to be a little bit of tension, though.
Okay. Fair enough.
Hey, by the way, I'm fired up for this. We're going to be hanging out at my hearing center coming up manana. So make sure to be listening because we always have a lot of giveaways. We'll always have opportunities for you to get yourself in a better situation hearing-wise, whether it's you, a loved one, spouse, whatever the case is, we got you covered. So check it out, tomorrow's show, My Hearing Center, and we'll have opportunities for you to get that free assessment, the free test, and I'm assuming you can probably still take those hearing aids out for a 30-day test drive, and if you like them, great. If not, no big deal. Off you go. Yeah. So let's get it done. Ben Anderson's going to join us here in a bit. Or is Ben big timed us?
He might be big timing us. Yeah, I don't know. He said he's still in the building. Well, he said he was going to be in the building because he's, recording a Jazz Notes
podcast.
Yeah. If you're not, by the way, subscribe to that. You should.
Well, I don't know. No. Hold on. Let's not be promoting it unless he comes by.
That's true. If you're gonna stiff us,
yeah. Look,
then we're gonna stiff your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm gonna help you out.
Look, we've been promoting the heck out of the Utah Puck Report. Why? Because Jay Stevens has been joining us every other day on the show.
True.
Which has been awesome. And if you haven't been listening to Jay Stevens or his Utah Puck Report, then shame on you. You need to be listening.
If you're committed to us, we'll commit to you.
Exactly.
This is the lesson that I've learned.
Yes. Yep. You do us dirty, and then we're going to have ourselves a problem. I'm just kidding. Ben's like one of the nicest dudes on the planet. So wherever he is, we'll check in with Ben here in just a moment as the Utah Jazz mercifully just have 3 games left. This one feels different, though. I mean, let's be honest here. This one feels a little bit different than last year at this time. Jazz had the worst record in the NBA and squarely in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. Obviously, we saw how that went for the Jazz. But this is a situation right now where it just feels better. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I just think he got a better vibe right now with the Jazz, where they're at now as opposed to last year. And I think a lot of it certainly goes back to the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade. All right, Ben Anderson joining us. Ben, you've been with the Jazz every step of the way throughout this season. This feels a little different at the end of this year than it did last year, correct?
Yeah, entirely different. The Jazz know what next year is going to look like, at least a little bit, and they've got the key answers figured out, which is they know who the top players are going to be, and now, honestly, you kind of know what the draft pick's going to be. I mean, you don't know where in the lottery, but you know you're going to get it, and that's really important for the Jazz. They didn't know midway through the year if they were going to be able to hold on to this piece, and now a 99.4% chance that they're going to. That's a win for them. They've got to feel positive about that.
But you are saying there's a chance.
Well, 0.6 is 0.6. It's a little more than 1 in 200 chance they could lose it. So it's out there. It's certainly possible, I guess. But I would imagine inside the building for the Utah Jazz, they feel pretty comfortable.
Walk us through if they and Sacramento end up tied for record-wise. How do they determine the lottery ball situation there?
Yeah, so the lottery balls will just get added up and then divvied out evenly. So the Jazz and Kings would share. And honestly, I don't know if it's even or if there would be, because if there's an odd number of lottery balls, obviously one team would have to get one more. But yeah, they add up the averages and then they divvy them out. So the Jazz would have, a 99.7% chance of holding onto their pick. And then a coin toss would actually determine who gets the 4th pick and who gets the 5th pick, assuming no team actually won the lottery and moved up and they didn't slide down. And if that were the case, then that coin toss could be potentially important because, as you joked, there's a 0.6% chance the Jazz could lose their pick. If they win the coin toss, those odds go to completely zero, and the Jazz would know they're holding onto their pick regardless.
Yeah. When you look at these rosters that the Jazz have been playing out, what do you take from it in terms of, the old adage, somebody's got to score the points. But are there things that you can see from some of these guys that you're like, okay, you can build on that? That's something that we like. That's something that even though you're buying your shots at Costco and you're getting lots of them, we still see development there. Let's start first with Ace Bailey. Do you like the trajectory he's at right now?
Yeah, and I like more so just the fact that, like, how we started the season, maybe even more than what we've seen the last 20 games or so. Now, there are real positives to the last 20 games. I think his shot creation has been really important. I think his ability to get to the rim more recently is important. I think his footwork has gotten a lot better. His ball handling's gotten a lot better. Like, it's all moving in the right direction. But honestly, I think his buy-in, his overall big picture, like, I want to be a part of this. I'm going to do what the team asked me to do. His chase down blocks, like, we're seeing his shot blocking skyrocket over the last few games. It's just like he's figuring it all out. All the pieces are coming together. And I think that's maybe more impressive than just, hey, he's got this, like, kind of huge opportunity to make mistakes where he didn't in the past.
Do you hear Locke drop the line that he thinks that there's a chance Ace Bailey might be the number one offensive threat come February of next year?
That might be a reach for me. I mean, Lowry's a really good player.
Just a bit, yeah.
I think about this. I was talking on my podcast today. Look at Lowry's just raw stats this year. I think he's probably at like 27 points a game. He's at 7 rebounds, shooting 37% from the three-point line. Like, if Ace gets there at any point in his career, Jazz fans are going to be like, holy cow, this is one of the best players they've ever drafted. Like, that is where Lowry is today. Like, he's doing that today. Now, Ace being much better on the defensive end, I think is going to be a real feather in his cap. But Lowry is a special offensive player, and it's going to be hard for anybody to catch him. The Jazz are going to run into a funny issue next year of trying to make sure Lowry doesn't fall back to being the third option because he's too good of a player to do that.
If you had a Rookie of the Year vote, who are you going with?
Man, I have watched the last two.
I know, right? I know
games, and it's and it is a funny thing of it's this thing that we worry about 10 years from now. Like, we know Cooper Flagg's the best player. We know Cooper's way better than Con Knippel. Con is having a historic year. He is the best shooter in the NBA. He's doing it as a rookie. It's pretty awesome. He is on a team that is competing to win 45 games, 46 games, and maybe going to end up at the guaranteed playoff spot by the end of the year. And I know that's only 3 or 4 more games, but they're in that running. Like, and he's been a critical part of it. He has kind of been the piece that came in and unlocked everything. And still, the Mavericks the Hornets would trade anybody or maybe any 2 players on their roster to get Cooper Flagg. So, are we worried about what people are going to say 5 years from now that Cooper didn't get this, or are we worried about the fact that, like, Con's actually probably been the better rookie, and Con actually probably has been the better rookie, though I do love that the Mavericks clearly care, and Cooper clearly cares. And you know what? Guys caring is good for the NBA. For all the tanking talk, Wemby wanting to come out there and rip your head off every time he plays is great for the league. And Cooper coming in and being the best rookie we've seen in a very long time, and certainly, his highs are better than anyone we've seen in recent memory. That's good for the NBA. So the fact that we're even talking about it, I think, is a real plus. If I had a vote, I would have a hard time not voting for Cooper. And I know that's silly because Cons has been so good and all the advanced numbers say Con. And even then, like, the guilty part of me is like, yeah, but Cooper's a much better player. Yeah.
Here's my thought. Cooper's going to get everything else. Let Con have this one.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Con, you gets the Rookie of the Year. It's great that they were teammates. They're buddies. Look, Con's going to win a lot in his career, too. Con is not going to – unless he gets stuck in Charlotte his whole life, I think he's going to do plenty of winning.
When you look at and I don't know how much you've taken a dive into the college players yet, but I really am curious to get your thoughts on Darren Peterson because I watched him up close in person in San Diego, and obviously I think he's probably at 75% health-wise, but the raw athleticism and watching it live was just through the roof. Now, there were mistakes, and you could tell the body language wasn't where you'd probably like it. But I really like that guy. I still go AJ1, but I think Darren Peterson, if he gets his head on straight, could be a really, franchise-altering player as well.
And, you watch the Jazz game last night, and you watch Shea, and he just makes every shot.
Yes.
Like, yeah, Darren Peterson's just an elite shooter. He's like an elite shot maker. And some of the passing numbers weren't good at all. But you know what? Keontae George had a negative assist-to-turnover ratio in college, and is like, he's the Jazz's starting point guard now. It's like, Ace Bailey didn't pass to anyone at Rutgers, and now is like a very reasonable passer. So I'm not sure I buy into the assist numbers at Kansas this year at all. And then, is his upside Anthony Edwards? Like, can you imagine if you dropped Anthony Edwards onto this Jazz team?
Yeah.
Well, okay, you are winning a title now. You know, I saw Tony Jones on the
Yes.
show saying if the Jazz win AJ DeBonta, they're going to win a title in 3 years. Like, well, if Darren Peterson turns into Ant Edwards, like, okay, that might be the same conversation. So I totally get it. I'm right there with you. Again, I have such a hard time buying into anything these guys do in college or dismissing them because of what they do in college, because it is such a bump in the road for so many of these players who are just thinking like, okay, I got to go play 30 games or whatever for 30 minutes a night. And I don't know if my team's any good, and I'll just try and get the biggest payday I can. And I'm really just trying to get to the NBA, and I'm already guaranteed to be a top 3 pick. So what do I really care? And if that ends up being the case with Darren Peterson, I won't be surprised at all. I think it was a little bit the case with Ace last year, and we've seen it before. So you know what? If the Jazz get any of these top 3 guys, they should be, to the moon, not to use a political event currently. They should be absolutely thrilled about what's going on in the world.
You know, the thing, too, and this is why I think Mike Malone's really going to struggle at North Carolina, because we've heard, coaches at BYU and Utah with Alex Jensen, guys that have been in the NBA, that have come down to college and said, you know what, we knew it was going to be different, but the spacing and everything, the limited ability for these guys to really showcase their skill set at the collegiate level, based on the fact that the game's just so much different and called so differently, really can hinder a lot of the athleticism these guys have. And I think once you see these guys make that jump to the NBA, that's why people are like, well, why didn't you do this in college? Because you can't do it in college. There's so much limitations. And when that court opens up and you have that space, then these guys can really flourish. So I always take with what guys do at the collegiate level with a grain of salt, because it's what AJ DeBonta has been able to do at the collegiate level is really, I mean, I look at that and go like, whoa, if he's able to do that in college, I can't imagine what he's going to do in the NBA.
Yeah, once there's spacing around him and there's 4 shooters around him, like, he might get up to 30 points a game by his 3rd year. Like, it's honestly crazy how good AJ might be, especially on the offensive end. But no, I'm totally with you. And you can go back over the last 6 years. I mean, UConn wins 2 championships with Donovan Clingan as the best player on the floor. It's like Donovan Clingan's the 15th best center in the NBA. Zach Edey's the college player of the year. Zach Edey's fine. He's a good starting center. Oscar Tshiebwe, I think, was college player of the year, if I'm not wrong. And he can barely get on the floor in the NBA. And you look at the teams tonight, like the Mara kid with Michigan. He's a great college player. He's probably a first-round draft pick, but he's not going to change your franchise necessarily. So, yeah, the goal in college and the goal in the NBA are 2 totally different things. And then the game itself, despite the fact that, the hoops are 10 feet high and the court's 94 feet long, it's just a different animal. So some of these guys are going to get to the pros, and not only do their motivations change, but honestly, their ability to show off their skills change. And, yeah, it could really benefit Darren Peterson.
Yeah. All right, so Mike Malone in North Carolina, from the school that also hired Bill Belichick. There's certain things you see and you immediately think, whether it's right or wrong, this is going to end badly. To me, I see that and I'm like, I don't think this is going to end well.
Yeah, I just look at college basketball now, and it's get old and stay old.
Yeah.
It's like, one and done players like AJ DeBonta rules. He's not playing. He hasn't been playing for 3 weeks, 2 weeks. Darren Peterson rules. He's not been playing for several weeks now. So it's just like, I don't know if the draw of having a former NBA coach who can say, yeah, I coached Nikola Jokic and I won a title, is like the guy who's going out and recruiting like the hardcore flawed point guard to come over from VCU to be the star of your team. I don't know if that's Michael Malone's draw at North Carolina, nor do I think that's North Carolina's draw. They want to go get top 5, top 10 recruits and have loaded classes. But unless you get Cooper Flagg, and there's only been one Cooper Flagg in the last decade. Like, Wemby didn't go to college. Had Wemby gone to college, yes, they would have won a championship wherever he went. But even if you get an AJ DeBonta, and Scotty, we did the show maybe a month and a half ago, and I think you asked me, like, did you buy into the idea that, like, Cooper Flagg wouldn't go number 1 overall in this draft, so you go 3 or 4? And I said, not a chance. Like, Cooper is so much better than all of these guys. And that's not a knock on anybody. It's just how good Cooper actually was. Like, those guys just don't – those actual difference makers as one-and-dones come around once a decade, maybe. Cooper was one of them and didn't win the title. In fact, didn't even get to the championship game. Anthony Davis was one of those guys. Wemby would have been one of those guys, but doesn't go to the pros. So you're actually not seeing it that often anymore. So what I think Michael Malone is trying to recruit to North Carolina and what actually wins might be 2 different conversations.
By the way, just as a basketball fan, how great was that Wemby-Jokic duo battle the other night?
Yeah, there are parts of the NBA that are obviously broken, and I look every night, and I'm sure if we pulled up tonight's schedule, you could probably say like half the games are ruined because the team is trying to tank. And the Jazz are a part of this, and we've seen it for 4 years now. But man, when the product is good and the playoffs are going to be good this year, it's elite. And yeah, Wemby, Jokic is a throwback. Now, none of those players play like throwback players, but that is the modern day Magic and Bird. That is a classic two bigs. I know Magic and Bird were bigs, but two superstars, two top 5 players going head to head and really having their egos on the line, and each one of them just hitting impossible shot after impossible shot.
So when it's all said and done, are you buying the Pistons in the East?
If I had to pick a team to come out of the East, I would not pick the Pistons. Now, I don't know who I would pick. The easy answer is probably Boston. They've been on a tear. They did just beat Oklahoma City, and they are playing well. So I think it's fair to say Boston with Jason Tatum back and playing as well as he has, and Jaylen Brown being, an MVP candidate over the first half of the season, and having winners like Derek White around them are very, very positive. So I would probably pick Boston. I just think it's early in this run for Detroit. And I know that seems weird because they were in the playoffs last year, but everyone was excited last year that they took the Knicks to 7 games and lost in the first round. Everyone's like, wow, what a good year. To go from that to the finals the next season is a huge jump. So I think as they face some of these other teams, I don't know if it's Cleveland or, who they run into, maybe it's even Charlotte that just gives them more than they can handle. They're going to get eliminated. And I think eventually it's going to happen. It could be New York again. And they're going to have to go and retool. But I actually don't mind they didn't skip steps in this process. Like, they could have gone out and made a big trade midway through the year and tried to get Michael Porter Jr. and said, well, I think that pushes you over the top. And it might have made you a little better than who you are, but I don't know if you know who you are yet. So figure out what you do wrong this year in the playoffs and then address that problem.
Nobody ever had Sam Merrill on an NBA radar, but he's now flourishing in the league. Mason Falslev, have you had a chance to watch him, and what's your analysis of his game?
I have, and I love his game. I love how athletic he is. I love his three-point shooting percentage. I do think he needs to figure out, if that's going to be his identity. What was he, 40% this year from
three?
A
little less,
really,
but yeah.
But really can shoot it at times. Now, Sam was an elite shooter.
Yeah.
There is a difference in some of those numbers. There are guys who have big three-point shooting percentages, and then there are guys who are elite three-point shooters. And Sam was an elite three-point shooter, and that's certainly the difference there. And I think you're going to see people trying to draw those comparisons, and they're not particularly accurate. Honestly, look for a player for the Jazz right now. And again, not to do white guy to white guy, but John Conchar is in the NBA, and he's a pretty good athlete. Falsev's a much better athlete, but he just kind of does everything really well. He gets his hands on a lot of deflections, gets rebounds, gets assists, just kind of fills a lot of gaps. That might be kind of a more ideal role, and maybe he can be a rich man's John Conchar, which is good. John Conchar, came out of a very small school, wasn't heavily recruited, was a point guard in college, had the ball a lot, and now is having to figure out how to do everything else. I could absolutely see Falslev carving out a long career that way. And because he can shoot and because he is very athletic, I don't think there are natural limitations there that are going to prevent him from getting a chance to kind of show out in the NBA. And another, as we talked, making the jump from college to the pros, there's probably a realistic case that Falsev's being, asked to do too much. And when he gets onto an NBA floor and everybody else around him is better than he is, and he's the 5th best guy in the rotation, actually maybe some of the things that he does well really flourish, and some of the things he's having to be stretched to do don't become as big of an issue.
Ben, you're the best, man. We appreciate it. We got a podcast in the can ready to go?
Yeah, it should be up right now. If not, it'll be up in the next few hours at the very latest.
Another Jazz Notes podcast. You catch it at KSL Sports and hear Ben every day from 10 to 12. Ben, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty.
All right. We'll spin the wheel. A little sports roulette coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Again, that's Ben Anderson, Jazz Insider for KSL Sports and the Jazz Note podcast, which we will now promote heavily because Ben joined us. Now we can. Just taped, ready to go, hot and ready at KSLSports.com. All right, take a break. Sports roulette next, right here on The Zone.
It's time to spin the wheel and talk some sports. This is Sports Roulette on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, let's get it. It is Sports Roulette right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Before we do that, though, It is the Copper Rock Masters giveaway. Be calling number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, and you will be assigned a player in the field in this year's Masters. If your golfer that Lloyd will assign you right now, if you're calling number 12, wins the Masters, then you win 18 holes of golf for two at Copper Rock Golf Course in southern Utah. We'll even give you a $100 gas gift card to get down there. Copper Rock, where the pros play. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. All right, let's fire it up. Time to spin the wheel.
An end of a Masters era.
Yes, indeed. All right, so what we're, if you're out there listening right now, and chances are you're probably in that Gen X range, maybe some millennials out there. You remember where you're at in 1994? I was a junior in high school in 1994. The reason I bring that up is because that was the last year that a Masters was played without either Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson in the field. Obviously, Tiger's got his issues. By the way, you see he took his jet to Switzerland. He got permission from the judge to leave the country. Apparently is checking himself into a facility in Switzerland. All right.
We've got... I hear there's good facilities here locally.
I thought so as well. You can come
right over here to Park City.
Phil Mickelson is also not participating in this year's Masters due to he's got some issues that apparently he's working through as well. So with that, you, my friends, will have a first Masters without either Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods for the first time since 1994. Man, that's a big number. By the way, we were talking about Jason Day earlier in the show. Jason Day had some comments about Tiger Woods not participating and his DUI. Jason Day said, look, he's a human being like everyone else. We have struggles. It's unfortunate. The only thing I don't understand, it's a bit selfish of him to drive when you put other people in harm's way. When you're the player that he was and how strong-willed he is, he thinks he can do almost anything. And that's probably why he's probably driving and a little bit under the influence. There's a lot of competitors out there that have performed at high levels at various things and still not been driving under the influence. And I get it. Jason Day, look, he loves Tiger. He went on to say, look, I'm in golf because of Tiger Woods. He's the reason I play. To have him go through what he's going through under that microscope, it must be hard to do. So, look, he loves Tiger Woods. We all love Tiger Woods. Look, I understand. Tiger Woods is not a particularly good human being, whether it's as a father, whether it's as a husband. I mean, look, it's a laundry list of stuff that Tiger's got himself caught up with, let alone the DUI from last week. But you can't deny the fact that Tiger Woods was must-see TV every time he stepped out into a golf course, even as of last year. Tiger Woods was on the course, you're watching. Tiger Woods was on the course in the early 2000s, you were definitely watching. So we all have great, fond memories of Tiger Woods, but that doesn't change the fact that we can still call out Tiger Woods for being a dirtbag. And look, I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. I don't care what you've accomplished. I don't care how many millions of dollars you've donated to charity or whatever the case is. You get behind the wheel drunk, you could kill people. And a lot of times that does happen. And it's not that it's an unforgivable thing, but I do think that we as a society need to stiffen our laws when it comes to cracking down on drunk driving. Because now it's kind of a joke. Like people are, and look, make no mistake. I mean, we all chuckled when we saw some of the memes of Tiger Woods with the blanket over his head. Like we all kind of chuckled a little bit when we saw it. But the thing is, the dude was out of his mind under the influence of something, and he could have taken a life. Very easily could have taken a life. In fact, he very close was taking his own life in terms of a vehicular accident. So,
and had he probably taken a life, that's what it takes to have the book thrown.
Exactly.
At you. And
exactly.
I think I think I put something out like that when this went down. I was like, I understand. Like, I'm all about second chances.
Yes.
Second chances are deserved. Like, Everybody deserves it. But when it becomes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, it's like, come on. There's got to be something that it shouldn't take you killing somebody for you to all of a sudden have something happen to you. Have something, lose the ability to do something, whatever. There has to be some accountability. There has to be something that has to happen. It shouldn't require somebody dying for that to happen.
I know. Look, you know what?
I'm a firm believer on this.
Henry Ruggs just gets pulled over for DUI, and he gets slapped with whatever, and he's back on the field the next day.
Yep.
All right? But Henry Ruggs had to get into a car accident that killed somebody and their dog, and that's why he went to prison. So I'm not saying somebody needs to go to prison, but honestly, if I'm the NFL and somebody in my league gets a DUI, I make them sit out half the season, maybe even the full season. Same with Major League Baseball, same with the NBA. And frankly, in our society overall, we need to have harsher penalties for DUI.
And the more you get, the more you lose. It should not be. Maybe you lose a season after one or whatever, but then there's got to be a no return.
Yeah,
it just can't happen.
Look,
you do this a third, fourth time, it's like you can't come back. Sorry, I don't care. You don't deserve that type of opportunity. I don't care how good of a golfer, what doesn't matter.
Thank you.
That's just got to stop.
All right, spin it.
Love it here. Now that you've paid me.
Dusty May has informed the University of Michigan officials that he's not pursuing any college basketball jobs. Well, because, he's got his team in a national championship, and he's coming off a contract that will go through 2030, and there's rumors that he is just close to a new extension that will pay him even more money and keep him at Michigan even longer. Right now, he's got a $7 million buyout, which is, by Power 4 standards, not huge. I mean, it's substantial, but for comparison, Jared Calhoun's buyout at Utah State was $4 million. So it's not a massive buyout. I anticipate that if he does get a raise, that number is going to go up considerably. But Michigan is in a situation where they're loving life right now. Their basketball team is just cooking, and they are steamrolling teams in the tournament. And
they're about to win another title.
They are.
I don't know how close of a game we have tonight. I know UConn's really good, but Michigan, what they're doing, they might just bounce UConn tonight.
Okay, so I'm kind of torn on this because you threw Hurley under the bus, and rightfully so. The guy's a Jack A, and I would like him to get embarrassed on a national scene tonight just because I don't think coaches that act like that should be rewarded. But the guy, you can't deny, the guy's a heck of a coach. And if he wins tonight, it's his third national championship. That puts him right up there with some of the greats of the sport. That puts him up with Krzyzewski and some of these other guys. So make no mistake, he's an excellent coach, but he's a buffoon. So you have a hard time rooting for him. If he beats Michigan, he gets to be a buffoon all he wants.
Yeah,
frankly.
He does. And there's nothing anybody could do about it.
Did you hear what his wife said about what he's like at home?
No.
Apparently, she said that I asked him to take out the garbage once, and he said, "Do you think Jay Wright takes out the garbage in his home?"
No, he didn't.
That's according to her.
Oh, man. You know what? I can totally see that. That sounds par for the course for him. I'm not going to lie. You think Jay Wright takes out the garbage? Yes.
Yes.
Why am I picturing him putting his forehead into his wife's forehead and telling her that? Oh, my gosh. You know what? Whatever. I guess you can do whatever you want to do when you're able to do what you're doing.
Yeah, but still, you go home, take out the garbage. Come on.
It's okay. Nothing wrong with it. It's actually, you know what? I actually like taking out the garbage.
I do too. Get you a little alone time.
Yeah, absolutely. I take a little extra time.
Exactly.
Maybe I stop on the step and I sit there for a sec. Because think about and ponder life.
As soon as you walk in that door, you got the two kids yelling at you.
The kids yelling at me.
Yeah, so, oh, no, I will be more than happy to take the garbage
I'll take out the garbage again if you need me to.
I do it all the time.
You want me to mow the lawn? Fine, I'll mow the lawn.
Let's go. Just, let me have my earbuds in and just decompress.
By the way, how's the old lawn looking? Mine's in a bad way.
Really?
Yeah, I'm in a bad place.
It's,
I lost my love for lawn.
Mine's a little spotty. I have not been as methodical as I need to be.
I've lost that part of it, and plus I have neighbors that have some some weeds that have blown into my area, and it's now taken over a little bit, and I'm losing the fight.
Yeah, that's not okay.
I know. I'm losing the fight because it's things just. I've got a garden area that the weeds are just starting to. It's like I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm in a bad place right now.
Well, you got two kids.
Yeah,
give them
you know what
shovels.
they're gonna. You can do that all you want, but you know they're gonna do a terrible job pulling weeds and getting them all and getting that in the root.
Yeah,
they're gonna do a bad job, and I'm gonna have even more.
Is it crabgrass or is it dandelions or what do you got?
Nah, there's some crabgrass a little bit, but I've also got these little stickers that have flown in somewhere. Yeah, I don't know where they came from, but it's those ones if you don't get it and they harden up and all of a sudden
they'll rip up your feet.
Yeah.
You go barefoot on that, you got a problem.
You're not going barefoot or anywhere around there.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, everything's good with you're not dealing with anything like that?
No, we're in pretty good shape. No weeds.
Okay.
It's just I'm not getting the lush green that I want. But I got to.
By the way, it's gonna be a rough year this year.
Oh, I know.
I don't even know what the watering is going to be like.
I know.
mean, I know what watering is like in your area.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
what are you trying to say?
I think you get a little loose up
with the watering.
With the watering.
Well, they got the meters installed now, so they're keeping track of us.
Well, what about your? You also have some irrigation water that you can use too.
Yeah. They're metering that now.
They're metering that.
Yeah, the old Weber water.
Oh,
they're keeping track of that, so I can't get as loose as I used to. So that could be a problem. Because
my grass might not be green for much longer. I'll just say that. It's going to be pretty expensive to water this year, I think.
Yeah.
It probably shouldn't anyways.
This could be a rough year. I just hate it when they, and look, we love Governor Cox, good friend of ours, comes on the show quite frequently.
But don't tell me my business. Don't tell me what I can water.
No, I wasn't going to say that. It's just when they promote that, like, hey, a yellow lawn is okay. No, it's not. It's not.
It's terrible.
It's not. It's terrible.
And I'll deal with it. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't look good.
But there is, look, you judge a man by the color of his lawn. And I know that it's not right. I know that it's not fair, but you just do. You go to somebody's house and the lawn's spotty and it's not looking good.
You see some weeds.
You see,
and
it's just
I get it.
It's like, ugh. And I hate doing it, but that's the most. I'm not a judgmental.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm not a judgmental person.
Hey, I'm judging myself right now.
Oh,
I see the weeds and I was like, man,
yeah,
I'm in a bad place right now. I'm embarrassed by what everything's looking like right now.
All right, but yeah, I'd say that we all need to prepare for that water to get rained back in a big way.
They're already having fires, for heck's sakes.
Oh, jeez. All right, 2:46. We'll wrap up this bad boy next right here on The Zone.
Believe it or not, this guy actually has friends. Nice. This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, parking this car in the driveway. Another show on a Monday. We got national championship game to recap. We got spring football to recap. We got a lot coming up on the show tomorrow, as well as Bill Armstrong, general manager of the Utah Mammoth. Danny Ainge, we'll hear from him coming up later in the week, as well as we get a little closer to playoff hockey. Cannot wait. What are we, about 2 weeks away, Lloyd?
Yes.
I don't want to jinx it.
About 2 weeks. You'd be that week of the 20th.
Could be a big week for all of us.
Actually, that weekend. It would start that weekend right before the 20th. So,
wow. Hey, the KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Mills honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. All you have to do is nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Mills Hero of the Week at kslsports.com/contest. Then listen every Thursday afternoon as JJ and Alex will announce a winner. It's the Beehive Mills Hero of the Week. All right. Great weekend for the Utah Mammoth. And by the way, big thanks to Jay Stevens for joining us. Mammoth go 3-0 on that road trip, come back with 6 points.
You mentioned 6 points last week, by the way, with the Mammoth. I was like, no, that's not happening. Like, okay, that's not happening. 6 points. I didn't think there was any chance they were getting 6. I was thinking
4.
Yes, 2 to 4. 4 would be like, oh wow, that's a win.
Yeah.
And by the way, how tight that race is for the wild card.
Had to do it.
They needed all 6 of those.
Yeah, no doubt. That was tough, man. And the fact is, you would love to come home, because let's be honest here, you come home with 6 points, 3-0. You're like, all right, we just stretched out that cushion a little bit, gave ourselves a little room for error. No, you did not. As Andre Tierney said, everybody keeps winning.
Tighter.
Yeah,
because there's more teams within that 5.
Go figure. Go figure. All right, so remember, Mammoth in action coming up tomorrow. Jazz in action coming up tomorrow as well. National championship game. You will hear it right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Michigan squaring off against UConn. All right, Lloyd, I don't know what the spread is, but I'm going to say it's probably, I'll say 5.5 for Michigan.
It is 6.5 for
6.5.
Michigan.
All right, that's close. All right, so where are you going on this?
You know what? I think Michigan covers.
Oh, man. You know what?
I actually think they cover. That's how well they're playing. And I understand this, UConn.
I'll take UConn plus the 6.5.
Okay.
You want to do a little burrito on this one?
Really?
Yeah.
You willing to go with a burrito?
Let's mix it up. Let's have some fun.
Okay. I'm in.
All right.
Let's do it.
Little bean burrito from down the plate?
Yes.
Down the road?
Yeah.
All right. Done and done. All right. 2:56. JJ and Alex coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.